Pleasure of love lasts but a moment. Pain of love lasts a lifetime, by Jean-Pierre Clarice de Florian. Jean-Pierre Clarice de Florian was a French poet and romance writer. Early on, he wrote comedic fables, best told to children. Eventually, he began writing romantic literature. If you've ever been in love, then you know exactly what this quote means, especially if you have lost that love. No matter how much time passes or how many people you have loved since, it will always hurt. I think perhaps the worst feeling you can have is that of unrequited love. The story of unrequited love and the pain it can cause is central to the romance stories that Jean-Pierre Clarice de Florian told and is the central focus of my story. There was once a beautiful girl not unlike you or I. She spent her days doing what most of us do, sewing, reading, playing games, sometimes just laying in the grass watching the clouds go by. She lived a charmed life, as the only daughter of a wealthy duke. Her mother had passed away when she was just an infant, and her father doted on her. He bought her the finest gifts of dresses and jewelry. It seemed as though she had everything her heart desired. One day, while spending time in her favorite flower field, she met a handsome stranger, unlike anyone she had ever seen. They exchanged stories of places they had been and of the things they had seen. As the day quickly grew into night, the young girl realized her father would worry. She bid the handsome stranger good night and arranged to meet him again the next week in the same spot. She kissed his cheek lightly and made off into the night. She arrived home that evening and dreamed of her encounter with the handsome stranger, realizing that she had never even learned his name. She didn't even know why he was in the field in the first place. What she didn't know is that he was a prince and on a mission from the king to find and capture the Witch of the Woods. It took him several days to find the witch. The witch knew that the handsome stranger meant to capture her and to take her to be imprisoned or put to death. Before he arrived, she cast a spell that if anyone meant to do her harm, they would be transformed so that not even family would recognize them until their true love set them free. The now non-handsome stranger couldn't bear to meet with the young girl, knowing what she would think of his appearance. He hid in his home and stayed there. The young girl waited all day and evening. When he still hadn't arrived by sunup the next morning, she left, wandering heartbroken through the woods. She came across a kindly old lady who told her that she could help her find her true love for a price. The young girl was so eager to find the handsome stranger that she agreed before knowing the terms of the deal. The witch, or kind old woman as it were, told the girl that something must have happened to the handsome stranger, that he must be in some sort of trouble, and that to set him free she would have to stick a pin in her heart each week and wait for him at their meeting spot. When he appeared, the pins would fall out and they would live happily ever after. But she also warned her never to put in the last pin, as it could kill her. The girl did as she was told the first week. She placed the pin that the witch had given her in her heart and waited. As she waited, she could see an old beggar man watching her from the trees. The old man scared her, but she had to meet her true love once again. When he started to get close, she screamed and threw rocks at him. As she frightened the man away, the pin in her heart began to twitch and worked its way out. Angry that the witch had given her a faulty pin, she grabbed it off the ground and pushed it back in, this time much harder. This went on for weeks, more and more pins protruding from her chest, each time falling out while the old beggar man watched her. Finally, she only had one pin left. She decided that without the handsome stranger, she didn't want to live. So she went to her favorite flower field, stuck in the last pin, and waited. The old beggar man watched as the pins fell out, and as she picked them up and put them back in one by one. With a mighty blow, she pushed the pins in as hard as she could, hoping beyond hope that her handsome stranger would come. The pins punctured her heart, and she started to bleed. The old man limped up to her body as she lay dying. He started pulling the pins from her heart, but he knew it was too late. After he'd finally pulled all the pins out, he transformed back into the handsome stranger she had met so many weeks ago. To truly set the prince free, the princess had to kill herself. She did so without knowing the cost. If she would have known that to set the prince free, she wouldn't be able to enjoy a life with him, she might not have stuck the pins in at all. She had only ever spent one day with him, but she gave her life so that he could live his. She was so repulsed by the sight of the old beggar man that she never stopped to think that the pins might have been working the way they were meant to. She knew her love was handsome and the old beggar man clearly was not. The moral of the story can be construed in many ways. First, don't judge a person by how they look. The Witch of the Woods looked like a harmless, kind old woman, while the prince looked like a menacing old beggar man. Second, enjoy love while you have it, because it's a fickle thing and it may not last very long. And last but not least, if you find love, hold on to it with every fiber of your being. It's too important to let it slip away.
Did you write that really? That's a good story.
Now I'm going to make up a story.